Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Mackey joins Human Events Daily. He was convicted, arrested, indicted, and convicted for making a meme all the way back in 2016. That case has finally, at long last, been dismissed. Doug, how are you?
Great to be here, Jack. It's a great day.
I got to tell you, I got to ask, how does it feel? How does it feel after all this?
It feels absolutely incredible. Today is a day of vindication. It's 4.5 years in the making. And this case was not overturned on some kind of technicality or even on a constitutional nature. The circuit court just ordered the district court to enter a judgment of acquittal, a full acquittal, based on the fact that they did not have any evidence to support this conviction, which confirms what we knew all along. They brought this conviction because Joe Biden stole the election and they wanted to put a Trump supporter on trial. They wanted to arrest Trump supporters and make an example out of them, even though they did not have sufficient evidence to prove that any crime was committed.
And so I want people to understand the timeline here, because this case, the tweet, the meme, the activity that they're talking about here, that took place in 2016, but your indictment and arrest didn't come until December of 2020. December of 2020. That's kind of interesting timing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And they didn't move this case forward. So Bill Barr, love him or hate him, even Bill Barr would not bring this case and put a stamp on this case. They put a stop on this case. And we know a little bit about this from a little bit of reporting by Reuters, if you could believe it, that the Trump DOJ did not want to bring this case, and they did not bring this case because they understood that there was insufficient evidence, according to reporting from Reuters. That did not stop Joe Biden's lackeys from making this case a priority. I was arrested 7 days after Joe Biden was inaugurated.
So your arrest comes and I want people to understand that this was the height of the, at the time, this was all about censorship. It was the height and this massive push for censoring online voices, for censorship of political speech online, for censorship of the ability of anyone to engage in the political process by using social media. And the height of all of this, the extremism reporters, many of which were in the trial there with you, that actually went and visited this because they knew exactly what it was, that it was their work working in conjunction with the DOJ. The SPLC was all over this case from that perspective, that they wanted you to be the first of many to be a test case to say, we can start locking up patriots for memes. That's what was going on here, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And we don't know the full extent of cooperation between the DOJ, career actors at the DOJ. Yes, these people work for Trump and they have nothing to do with Trump or anything like that. These are career actors that have been there a long time. They hate Trump. And when I went on trial, you're absolutely right. The atmosphere was so dark and so dreary, and the fight was so lonely. This was right when they were dragging Trump through the mud. And he was actually, I believe, indicted during my trial, believe it or not, for the first time, the first indictment. We don't know the extent to which the ADL and the SPLC and all of these censorship organizations were working in conjunction with the DOJ. And we may never know. Hopefully the truth comes out one day, but they were there in the court. They were practically sniggering to themselves. They were celebrating. They were actually, one of them almost got himself kicked out of the court at one point. And now, I guess, as we all could see, there was no evidence for a conviction. I mean, anybody with eyes to see could see it. And people that got to know the case, even people that didn't like me or that didn't like Trump, realized that there was nothing to this case. And the only people who supported this case were blind partisans on the Democrat side, far left activists, and the DOJ. So what does that tell you about the deep state?
No, it's very clear that this is a partnership between these individuals, these hard left organizations, and elements of the Department of Justice, who I've certainly been taking aim at this whole week, really. And by the way, there was something that you mentioned I think it was the last time we had you on the show, where people understand that this is a federal case, and obviously President Trump returned to office back in January. He had the pardon pen there. He did the mass pardons of the J6ers. He's done pardon after pardon. But you actually had the opportunity to receive a pardon from President Trump, and you refused to go for that pardon. Walk me through that process and what this means.
Yes, absolutely. So that is true. We had the opportunity to go to Donald Trump for a pardon, and we chose not to at the time that Trump was inaugurated. And why was that? We had a very strong appeal, and the vindication, I got to tell you, is much sweeter than even a pardon. As great as it would be to get a pardon signed by the president, which would be incredible, this vindication is even better. We knew we had a strong appeal. We knew the government's evidence was insufficient. And not only that, we believe their prosecution was also deficient on the law. And the Second Circuit did not rule on those matters because they don't have to. As soon as they find a point of agreement, they throw out the conviction and they punt on the other matters. So we still feel like their prosecution was legally insufficient in addition to the evidence being insufficient.
And I just want to double stomp on that so people understand, is that you refused. You could have gone to the president, and I'm sure the president in his heart of hearts would have looked at this situation and given you a pardon, but you didn't, and you kept on in this fighting not just for yourself because you knew that you could get out, but you didn't want them to be able to do this to anybody else. So you stayed in this fight using money from your own pocket, going on shows, going out of places, crowdfunding money so that you could do this for others. That's what this ruling actually means.